What's up, Average Dad fans? Welcome back to another video, and today we're comparing two very different phones, the Sony Xperia 1 Mark VI and the Xiaomi 14T Pro. Both arrived on my desk at the same time, so I figured, hey, why don't I compare them and see if the gulf in price is warranted. Let's go. So yes, this comparison is slightly different. There will not be many Sony Xperia 1 Mark VI versus Xiaomi 14T Pros out there, but this might actually be one of the most important videos I've made for some time. The whole ethos of my channel is to try and bring the best tech to my viewers for the cheapest prices. That's why I started Average Dad Tech Store. Both of these phones are available there. And a few times over the past few months I've had comments such as, you only review phones that are on your store and you're obviously only going to talk positively about your phones. Well, that couldn't be further from the truth, because the Sony Xperia 1 Mark VI might be the worst smartphone I've ever used. And no, not because it's a bad phone, just because of what it stands for. Let me explain. A flagship phone should have a few key areas ticked. For example, fast charging, great cameras, a fantastic display, great sounding speakers, you know, all the stuff that should come with a flagship device. So if I say to you, 120 watts wire charging, 50 watts wireless charging, a Full HD plus near Quad HD resolution screen, 144 hertz, 4000 nits peak brightness, then you would say, hell yeah, take my money please. Well, okay, give me your money, because those are the specs for the £629 Xiaomi 14T Pro. Yes, you heard me correctly. All those specs are for a phone half the price, and not a metaphorically, not in jest half the price, a literal half the price, if not even better than half the price of the Sony Xperia 1 Mark VI. Because not for £629, but for £1,399 on the Sony store for the half terabyte version, you can get a HD panel. Yes, 1080p. You can also get 120Hz refresh rate. And unless I'm severely mistaken, I have fact-checked myself 3 times on this fact. The peak brightness on the Sony Xperia 1 Mark VI is 1300 nits. Keep in mind the 14T Pro was 4000 nits, and most flagships are a minimum of 2000 to 2500 nits. So if my facts are correct, and I checked on Sony, GSM Arena and Wired, I have no idea what's going on with Sony. Now I just want to keep on that price for a little bit. £629 for the 256GB, £729 for the half terabyte, £829 for a 1TB of storage Xiaomi 14T Pro. The 256GB version, Sony will sell you for £1,279. I have it on the Average Dad Tech Store for £999, £130 more, and you can have the half terabyte of storage. And keep in mind, there's a 5% discount code on all phones and accessories in the store for the whole month of October. Here's the code. Use it at checkout, take 5% off. So essentially take another £50 to £60 off that Sony Xperia 1 Mark VI price. But if I were you, I would avoid that and look at phones like the Xiaomi 14T Pro or the Vivo X100 Ultra or the Vivo X200 Pro, because spec for spec, there really is no comparison. If I told you that the £1,400 Sony was losing in basically every single spec, You would say I was lying. Well, we've already talked about the charging and the display, but here it is in real facts and figures. 396 ppi on the Sony, compared to 446 on the Xiaomi. Mentioned already, 1300 half-peak nits is just crazy, crazy dim. Some tablets get brighter than that. And then 4000 on the Xiaomi. Now, we all know the main reason that people buy Sony phones. It's the cameras. And here's the camera specs compared to the Xiaomi 14T Pro. To my eyes, looking at the wide lens and the telephoto sensors and aperture, it's inferior to the half-price Xiaomi 14T Pro. The only one lens that is slightly better than the Xiaomi, yet nowhere near as good as other flagship phones that charged way less money, is the ultra-wide. And I know that specs don't mean everything. They do when it comes to battery, because if you're going for a shit shower and shave, you can have your Xiaomi 14T Pro charged from dead to 100% in 20 minutes. That is absolutely shit shower shave territory. Whereas on the Sony, it's going to take about 70 minutes. So unless you've got severe constipation, IBS, or you really need to get to the hospital now, you ain't doing your shit shower and shave in that time. What I want to do for the cameras, I just want to compare 10 images. 10 images marked A and B. You can write in the comments which you prefer. And that's as fair as it can be. I know which ones I prefer. Go ahead, leave the comment, and then I'll reveal which one was the Sony and which one was the Xiaomi. Here we go.
Top. 매일 네 생각을 한다고 잊어버린 눈을 감아도 그럴수록 더 빠져들어가 괜히 좀 더 크게 웃어도 술을 한 잔 두 잔 마셔도 잊으려 해도 네가 떠올라 어두운 밤 난 불빛을 따라가 One step, two step, rapping like 계속해 걸어가 멈추잖아 달려가 I don't wanna wake up 나는 점점 지쳐가 그러다 미쳐가 yeah 선명하게 떠올라 너와 나의 story 네 모든 게 생각나 미치게 해 갈수록 더 힘들어.
Now, obviously, I may be slightly biased, although I'm not biased because I don't have any skin in the game for either of these phones. Buy them both. Buy 10 of each from the Average Dad Tech Store. I don't care. But in my humble opinion, I prefer the look of the Xiaomi in most photos. And that's always been the issue for Sony. Sony make fantastic cameras. DSLRs, mirrorless, they're just top. But doesn't translate to the smaller sensors found in their smartphones. Which is odd considering they provide lenses to companies such as Vivo and Oppo. Sony just can't quite get it right with their own phones. And I think I know why. They don't care. Sony Xperia sales make for like 0.001% of what Sony actually cares about and revenue. They care about TVs, mirrorless DSLR cameras, sound systems, other things that Sony do. It's mainly TVs, to be honest. And by God, they make the best TVs. I genuinely think Sony have had the best panels for about 20 years. Yes, it's close, but we all know Sony. But with their phones, I don't know why they keep it going. I'll be entirely honest. If you had told me a couple of years ago that LG or Sony were going to stop making smartphones, I probably would rather it have been Sony that stopped and not LG. But they've continued, and they've continued to go down and down in my estimation. The selling points of the Xperia 3, 4 and 5 were all the 4K display, the fine-tuning in the camera apps that you can do. Well, that's kind of been taken away now with the Xperia 1 Mark 6. Doesn't have a 4K display, the aspect ratio has changed, and there's no longer as in-depth pro modes. They've kind of gone more user-friendly, if you like, but at a sacrifice to what real photographers want to use, which ironically isn't actually an Xperia. If you're a real photographer, you definitely don't want to use an Xperia 1 Mark 6. So, that's it. A random video, a different video. I guess I just want to highlight that A, the Xperia 1 Mark 6 is not a great flagship smartphone. If you buy from Sony, you're absolutely insane spending that much money. If you want to tinker about for one for £999, bear in mind you can also get 5% off that price, so £950, then go ahead, but I wouldn't recommend it. However, I would recommend the Xiaomi 14T Pro for £630 to £750, depending on your storage. And that's exactly what I'll be promoting more of. I want to stick with flagships, of course, especially when it comes to foldable phones and other candy bar phones. But being a full-time YouTube/business owner, I want to make sure that my store is filled up with absolute gems like the 14T Pro. And even better devices coming soon. The Vivo X200 Pro will be in my hands. Yes, I know others have had it, but I've been away for the weekend. A long weekend, 5-6 days actually. So I'm just getting myself back up to speed. This is just one of those little videos I like to throw in every now and then to show you that there is better out there for cheaper prices, and invariably it comes from the Chinese market. I'll be back soon with that Vivo X200 Pro first impressions video. Until next time.